probably best to tell you from my point of view, because it's completely new to me. I'm not an actor by trade, but you hear Chekhov and you hear it as classics, Chekhov, and you can think it's very stuffy and very formal and like a lot of older literature. But what we forget is that it's literature and plays and theatre, and that was cinema. It was the MCU and the EastEnders of its day. So Chekhov's The Bear is a one-act play that goes from 0 to 60 pretty much straight off the bat. There's no fat on this kind of meat at all. It's a story of a widow, Popova, who's locked herself away from the world for a year after the passing of her husband. And on one random day, a creditor of her late husband, Smirnov, turns up looking to claim a debt of the deceased. And what we essentially have is two very strong personalities that don't care to see beyond the ends of their own noses. The irresistible force meets the immovable object, and that's your roller coaster ride for this play. We see how this pans out. We have two folk who aren't willing to give an inch, two huge personalities clashing with each other, and it doesn't go the way I expected, and it won't go the way you expect either. But as someone who didn't know the play and wasn't familiar with it at all, expecting it to be quite serious, I just found myself with a big smile on my face the more we went through the first read through. And it's a good sign when you're laughing out loud and you're popping each other as you're doing it. So the play itself is fantastic. It's a lot of fun, and it's got a twist that I don't know. There's a German word like Schadenfreude for you don't see it coming, but you do, and you're kind of happy it does. It's got that kind of ending to it. So it's there's more stuff to it, but I don't want to ruin things. My last time I did any kind of play was my GCSE drama, which is longer ago than I care to admit under oath. So I'm a stand-up comic by trade. So I'm not unfamiliar with being in front of an audience, but between you and me, if I can just between you and me, it's terrifying because I'm so used to just being myself on stage, and essentially I'm very big on sort of hosting and improvising and making it up as I go. So having to sort of work, and it's not confinement, but working as an actor is terrifying for me, and learning lines and going, how do I do this? But I'm very lucky. I'm working. So Patrick O'Donnell and Kerry Eli, who are the actors, who I saw them in Death of a Muse at the same venue, Lockdown 91, a couple of years ago, and they're absolutely fantastic. They've been great with the rookie who's come in and gone, I don't know what I'm doing, and they've made me so well. A weird background of stand-up comedy. I've also worked in professional wrestling as a promoter. And as a commentator.
But not as a wrestler?
Not as a wrestler, no, because I don't like pain or exercise, and those two are quite fundamentally important parts of the equation. But yeah, but that's what I think is wonderful about this play. The play itself really kind of smashed some of my preconceptions, and we've taken not liberties, but we've tweaked a few things. You know, Lucas, the manservant or footman, which is my role, is not what he appears to be. And I won't say any more than that, but we've worked in, so we've got a play that's already very exciting and got huge combustible elements and the personalities, and we've worked in a little bit of improvisation. We've got some physical theatre, almost a little bit of stand-up, because I'm like the audience's eyes and ears on stage, and there might even be a little bit of pro wrestling in there, you know. So it's going to be different, which is an often overused word in theatre. I think it's different, which also feels very backhanded. You say, "How did you like the play?" Well, it's different, isn't it? No, it's going to have it's got its own identity. It's got a real soul to it. It's a lot of fun. And to borrow an overused phrase from wrestling, you know what? For this 45 minutes, we'll settle the whole seat, but you're only going to need the end. Lucky, in fact, to sort of land with a foot in both of my two things I love, which is pro wrestling and stand-up comedy, which you might instantly go, well, what's that got to do with a play or theatre? But it's all very, very closely related. It's all pro wrestling is theatre with violence. Essentially, it's all about big personalities, and I think the comparison is very much on this play. It's like we've got a pro wrestling match without the actual wrestling. We've got two huge personalities, very, very different, and you can immediately see how they rub up against each other and where the friction is and where the sparks start to fly. And it just, as someone looking on from the outside, you kind of you want to see how it escalates and you want to see how it plays out. And often, so without wanting to get too pretentious, wrestling's a morality play. You know, it's you have a good guy and you have a bad guy. Whereas here, you're not quite sure who the hero is and who the villain is. They've both got their reasons that they're right, but they've got their reasons that they're wrong as well. So I think the perfect reaction from the audience would be sat there with popcorn, obviously, just going, ooh, oh, no, you didn't, and it'll just build and build from there. And that I think is one of the reasons I was sort of brought in, is to bring a little bit of that larger than life, that idea where you have this conflict and it just escalates. And coming from stand-up, it's having the ability to riff a little bit, to improvise, to bring that little bit of unpredictability, because without giving too much away about Lucas the Footman, I feel very much like I'm the eyes and ears of the audience on stage, and it's not huge. It's not. I don't think we can even legally call it a stage in the venue. We've got a wonderful little intimate room. We'll get sort of 20 people in, and it'll feel like you're in the widow's drawing room with her as this all plays out. And my job is very much to mirror what the audience is doing and going, I did not see that coming. Ooh, yeah, and it'll all come from there.